All right, so Noah Lyles, he's been the talk of the world for the past couple days. Obviously, he's always in the news, but more recently, he went on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp as well as Chad Ochocinco, and he was talking about a whole range of topics from Anthony Edwards and Adidas and, you know, Tyreek Hill, getting a shoe, all kinds of things in that realm. I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty disappointed with the track and field world. At least track and field content creators, where we're jumping on the Tyreek Hill thing. Come on, y'all. We're jumping on Anthony. Come on, y'all. I know y'all like football. I know y'all like the NBA. But why are we not talking about the big track news that can actually happen with Noah Lyles going for the 400-meter world record? At least saying that he wants to go for it. That, I think, is the news. Listen, I'm never interested. I've never been interested in the whole Tyreek Hill. I honestly haven't even been interested when DK Metcalf ran. That's not my realm. Not too interested in it. I am interested when a 200-meter world champion, a 100-meter Olympic champion says that they want to potentially give their all into the 400-meter dash and potentially go for a world record. Listen, let's talk about this, y'all. So let's discuss a couple things. First off, what is it that exactly Noah Lyles said while he was on Shannon Sharp show? Also, let's talk about some of the other 100, 200-meter sprinters that we've seen throughout history. How does Noah Lyles kind of compare to those athletes? And then also, I'm of course, give my opinion. Do I think that Noah Lyles can actually, you know, potentially approach this 400-meter world record? And I'll also kind of sprinkle in some context as it relates to other 400-meter runners, but I'll, of course, talk about why that's not great context. But first off, what is it that Noah Lyles explicitly said on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp? So on Nightcap, Quincy Hall originally went on after he won the 400-meter gold, and he was saying that Noah Lyles would be able to potentially put down a really strong time if he actually did go for the 400 meters.
He really want to challenge you at 400 meters?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think Noah's a dog, bro. Noah ain't gonna back down. You think he took what I said lightly? He didn't, but I'm a respectful athlete. I know you seen what Tobogo ran in the 4x4, right?
Yes. Right.
I feel like Noah, a healthy Noah, will run something 44. Like Noah's not
really?
Man, listen, y'all, people going off Noah's high school time, 47 or 45, but this man runs 19 seconds. For him to come through the first 221 flat, it's going to be nothing to this man. Noah's going to run a good open 400 right now. He will beat a lot of people that think that he's not.
They actually run the 400, huh?
Yes, bro. Noah, bro, listen, if you run 19.4, 19.5, whatever he runs, and then 21 will be nothing to him. It's a jog in the park. Then you got to tell me you got another 200 meters. Then in the last 100, you can't coach that. That's just who you is. No one's a dog, right, bro. He's not in the conversation of being one of the fastest men in the world ever to run for no reason.
So after that, Shannon Sharp asked Noah Lyles about it, and it was very brief, just a real brief segment in the midst of all this other stuff. But he said that, yo, could you go for the 400? Noah Lyles said that if he gives his 100% into the 400 for a couple years, he could attack and go for that 400-meter world record. Here's the clip.
Quincy believes that you could lay down a blistering time in the open 4. What do you think what's your PR currently, and what do you think you can run with some training?
I haven't run the open 4 since high school. I think I ran like 47.4, but I've run 44 splits. I've run 45 splits multiple times. I truly would like to take a shot at the world record. If I decide to move to the 400 truly and give it my 100% for multiple years, yeah, I'm going after the world record if I'm going in the 4.
Hold on. The world record in the 2 or the world record in the 4?
I'm doing it in the 2 as well.
No, do you understand? Like, do you understand those times? 43.03 and 19.19.
I'm gonna tell you this: my brain understands it. My body don't know the difference.
Now, in my opinion, that makes perfect sense, right? It's not like he said, oh, next year I'm going to break the world record, or yeah, I'm going to go for it at the end of the season, or even 2 years, right? He explicitly said, if I give my 100% for a few years, I can approach, or at least I can go for the world record. I think that's very, very fair in the context of how he said it. And on top of that, it kind of almost acknowledges how hard 400-meter training is. We've known someone like Usain Bolt, right? He used to be a 200, 400 runner, but he spoke frequently about how tough the 400-meter training is, so he didn't want to dive into that. This, I think, at least provides some acknowledgement that, yo, 400-meter training is hard, but if I give my 100% for a couple years and actually get through that training, then I could actually look towards the 400-meter world record. So I think that's a very fair take. And just for context, because I forgot to mention it, the world record is 43.03 seconds, set by Wade Van Niekerk all the way back in 2016 at the Olympic Games. So we're going on about 9 years since the world record was set, and Noah Lyles, his personal best, is 47.04 seconds. But we'll get to that. Now, he also did kind of give the example of Dream Richards, his training partner, where Dream Richards on the surface used to be a 200-meter runner and then moved up to the 400 this year.
So I'm put it like this. So Dream Richards, he runs for Trinidad and Tobago. We trained together. He is a 19.8 200-meter runner. And he decided he was going to focus more on the 400 this year. He was in that finals. He got fourth with 43.7. New national record. I believe it's in the all-time top 10 all-time fastest times. My PR is 19.3 in the 200. And I have some pretty good strength on me as well.
Now, in my opinion, this is one part where I guess there's some validity to it, but this isn't exactly a great comparison. For example, Dream Richards, for the most part through his entire career, has really been a 400-200 runner. The first medal that Dream Richards won was the 2012 World Indoor Championship bronze medal in the 4x4. Throughout his entire career, he has been a mainstay as part of Trinidad and Tobago's 4x400 meter relays at World Championships, at World Indoors, at Olympic Games, all throughout his entire career. Yes, for the most part, when talking about the global stage previously, he was a 200 runner, where 2017, he got the bronze medal. 2019 competed at Worlds. 2021 competed at the Olympics, right? All these times he was competing in the 200. So I understand where the comparison was coming about, but not a great comparison because he's been a 400-200 runner as opposed to someone like Noah Lyles, who's always, for the most part, been a 100-200 runner. But there are a ton of athletes throughout history that we do have some basis to go off of to really kind of compare Noah Lyles to say, hey, can he actually be a good 400-meter runner, and can he actually approach 44s, maybe, 43s? So let's talk about where Noah Lyles is at in terms of, his 100, 200, 400 personal best. So in the 100, we know this year he ran 9.79 seconds to get a PB to win the gold medal at the Olympic Games. He's also run 9.8 seconds a ton of times dating back to, 2018. I think he ran 9.8 for the first time. In the 200, we know his accolades there. 19.31 seconds, American record, and he is the most consistent, sub-20 runner, surpassed the Bolt, I think, last year. This year, he's, built on that. Of course, he didn't get the gold medal in the 200, got the bronze medal, but he's extremely consistent in the sub-19.6 range that he is obviously one of the best 100-200 sprinters in the history of the sport. But when we're talking about the 400, this is where things just, completely fall off. So the last time that Noah Lyles ran the 400 was back in 2016, in April of 2016, while he was still in high school. Personal best of 47.04 seconds. So way off what his true capabilities are. He hasn't, I think, at least, when we're talking about what I was able to find online, that was the only 400 that I've been able to find. It's possible that he's run more in high school, but obviously I can't find those records. If someone knows them, go in the comments, let me know. 47.04 seconds is his personal best. Now, on top of that, he's run the 4x4 a couple times. In high school, he's run it a bunch of times. I think most notably, he ran a split at the Penn Relays in 2016 of 45.6 seconds. So that was actually a very strong split on the second leg at Penn Relays. Again, still in high school, 2016. Now, more recently, since then, since going pro, Noah Lyles has run 3 4x4 splits. Once in 2018, I couldn't find the exact split, but it was approximately 45.5 to 46.0. This was at the 2018 Florida Relays. Someone could, find the exact split on that. David Verberg, Noah Lyles, Tony McQuay, and I think Josephus Lyles ran on that relay. On top of that, you also had the 47.59 second split, which he ran last year at the Florida Relays to anchor his team. Not a good split there. But the most recent one that we did have was 45.68 seconds, which he ran at the World Indoor Championships this year in Glasgow after he got the silver medal in the 60-meter dash. That, of course, sparked a ton of controversy because, he isn't a 400 runner. There was a couple other guys who probably could have been on the relay, but regardless, he ran on the leg, 45.68. So I think for the most part, we could say that Noah Lyles is simply not much of a 400 runner, right? Hasn't run the open 400 in a while, hasn't run many 4x4 splits, kind of up and down, could run 45s, could run 44s, who knows, but not really a great 400-meter runner. But there is some precedent when talking about 100, 200 runners actually going up to the 400 and having some relative success in terms of the times department. Let's take a look at some of these athletes and see where Noah Lyles might be able to fit with them if he was to run a 400 now. First off, Couple guys off the bat. You have someone like a Johan Blake. He's run 9.69, 19.26, and he has a personal best of 46.32 seconds in the 400. He isn't the greatest 400 meter runner though, and he ran that in 2013, so maybe not the best example. You have someone like Mike Marsh, all the way back in the 90s, right? 9.93 in the 100, 19.73 in the 200, Olympic champion in 1992, and he's run 45.08. Mike Marsh, current USA relays coach, he's actually a pretty good example of, sub 10, 19.7, 45.0. That's a pretty good range that Noah Lyles could get into. You have some other guys like Asafa Powell, 9.74 of course, 19.90, 45.94 for Asafa Powell. So and that was actually in 2009. So we're talking about sub 46 seconds. Alex Ogando, who's a current athlete right now, he's kind of an interesting case where he's run, only 10.09 seconds in the 100, 19.91 in the 200, but he has run 44.68 in the 400. He's a little bit younger. I think he's 24 years old right now. He did start in the 200 as opposed to going from the 400 and dropping down to the 200. But, interesting case where he's a very strong 400 runner, always part of the mixed relays for the Dominican Republic. He's also someone, you can kind of key off of. You have someone like a Wallace Spearman. Wallace Spearman has kind of been a triple threat for the most part throughout his career. 9.96 in the 100, 19.65 in the 200, and 45.22 in the 400. He also has another 45-second performance throughout his career as well. So he's another kind of quote-unquote triple threat. Not talking about these 43-second runs. We're not going to see anybody like that, but really good performances from Wallace Spearman. And then you have someone like a Letsili Taboho. Now, this is, of course, is a very, very special case where he may move up to the 400, sooner than we think, but 9.86 seconds in the 100-meter dash, 19.46 seconds in the 200, as well as 44.22 seconds in the 400. All of them run this year. Now, he is significantly younger than Noah Lyles. He is, of course, is still growing. He's run 43.03 seconds in the 4x4 on a split. So Letsili Taboho is kind of like a special case, but again, it just speaks to someone who is maybe like a 100, 200 runner. He's still developing, but has a lot of chops in the 400, maybe gives some hope to someone like a Noah Lyles who might be able to step up. But there's, of course, one athlete that I think provides the biggest and closest parallels to a Noah Lyles, who I haven't actually said. But before I get to this athlete, I want to note that last year at the Zurich Diamond League, so this is about a week after the World Championships in Budapest last year, I actually went to the Zurich Diamond League. In the press conference, I got a chance to ask Noah Lyles about running the 400, and I framed it in the lens of the 100, 200, 400 kind of combination sprinters and, athletes moving up that list. So take a look at what I asked.
You said that, 400 is not in your plans in the future, but I know you're motivated by stats sometimes, right? Like sub 20s, right? Yeah. So I don't know if you've been keeping track of the combination sprinters, like 100, 200, 400.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay, so, I mean,
I know where this is going. I'm not running the 400.
I mean, if you get that 400 down, you would really jump up. And you see guys like Tabogo, he's been jumping up the list. Of course, Curly, Norman up there. I mean, would you be motivated for like a one-off 400, get it down to like 45?
No. The only thing the 300 is as far as I'm going. And I've been wanting to run the 300 for a while now, outdoors. But it just hasn't, the meet hasn't presented itself at the right time.
So clearly things have significantly changed since then, right? That was what, September 2023. At this point, he said, yes, I do want to run the 400. He actually ran, the 4x4 indoors. He's, wanted to go for the 4 gold medals at the Olympic Games. Of course, none of that came to fruition, but he now actually wants to run a 400. But after that, listen to what Mondo Duplantis actually responded to Noah Lyles with.
Dude, one little low-key 400 in like Claremont, Florida.
Mondo, say that one more time.
Dude, one little low-key 400 in like Claremont, Florida.
Wait, Mondo, say that one more time so we can hear it clearly.
Dude, one little low-key 400 in like Claremont, Florida.
A low-key one-off race in Claremont, Florida. Who does that kind of sound? Tyson Gay. Tyson Gay, in my opinion, provides at least the closest parallel to what Noah Lyles might be able to look towards in terms of, oh, I could be a really good 400-meter sprinter, or I could get my 400-meter time down, right? Now, let's give the context. Tyson Gay, personal best of 9.69 seconds in the 100-meter dash. He, of course, has run 9.7 a bunch of times. He's run 9.8 a bunch of times. He, of course, was one of the best 100-meter sprinters, especially prior to Usain Bolt coming onto the scene. 200 meters, 19.58 seconds, run in 2009 as well. well. Both his 100 and 200 personal best for that year. He's also run 19.6 a couple times, 19.7s, just like the 100. Before Usain Bolt came into the fold, he was arguably the best 200-meter sprinter, especially that 2006 to 2007, season. So Tyson Gay really has those chops, and for the most part was a very clear 100, 200-meter sprinter. Well, what about that 400? Well, as some of us might remember, 2010 in this low-key local meet, Gainesville, Florida, Tyson Gay just popped off. He ran 44.89 seconds in the 400-meter dash. What year was this? 2010. So just to provide some context, like I said, 100 meters, 9.69, 200 meters, 19.58 seconds. Both of those were in 2009. And that was kind of the peak, in a sense, of his career, where from 2005, after he came out of Arkansas, all the way up to about 2009, that was when he was really hitting his stride. 2006 was arguably his breakout. 2005, he got 4th place at the World Championships in the 200. 2007, he doubled up, 100, 200 double. Of course, 2008, he did really well early in the season, but then got injured at the Olympic Games in Beijing. 2009, he hit that stride. So post all this progression that, Tyson Gay had been having, he then comes out in 2010 and says, hey, let me run an early season 400-meter dash in little Claremont, Florida, or Gainesville, Florida in this case, but 44.89 seconds for Tyson Gay. And also, that wasn't like a little fluke. In 2009, Tyson Gay actually ran 45.57 seconds. So what am I getting at here? And also, for some context, in 2010, Tyson Gay was 28 years old. Or might have been 27, turning 28 that year. So again, what am I getting at here? Noah Lyles, of course, has been coming off arguably the best, 3 seasons of his career. 2022 American record in the 200-meter dash, wins his 2nd gold medal in the 200 at the World Championships. 2023 wins the world title in the 100-meter dash, sets a personal best of 9.83 seconds. 2020 and completes the sprint double. 2024 at the Olympic Games wins the 100-meter title. Of course, he catches COVID, so wins the bronze in the 200, but sets that personal best running 9.79 seconds. I think that Noah Lyles should take some elements and at least some thought process from a Tyson Gay and say, hey, what if I start to run the 400 next year? And whether it's full-time or not, but let me just dip into a 400-meter race individually, right? An open 400 early season. He can probably hit, I don't know about 44, he could hit 45, undoubtedly. I think we'd be hard-pressed to say that Noah Lyles cannot run 45 seconds in the 400 in a one-off race early in the season. We'd be hard-pressed to say that. But maybe he could dip into the 44 seconds if he's coming off maybe the indoor season. He really, time syncs really well where, okay, he gets some good conditions at a Florida Relays or at an early Claremont meet or, at a Tom Jones Memorial, whatever it may be. He can run a 44 seconds. That might give him a lot of motivation to say, hey, this can be something good, right? Maybe I can really get going in this capacity to put some good marks down. Maybe in 2026, when it's not a world championship year, maybe I can really start to attack the 400, get down to 44 mid, get down to 44 low, right? Then you can start to delve into that Dream Richards realm, where Dream Richards last year was, for the most part, the first full year that Dream Richards dedicated to 400, and he got down to 44 mid, right? Maybe Noah Lyles can do very similar. I can get down to 44.5. I can get down to 44.3. By the time 2026, the end of the season comes, maybe I'm running sub 44 seconds at that point. Now, is that going to get to the world record? Maybe not yet. But like he said at the top, right? If I dedicate 100% and really put a couple years into the 400, then I could start to make some progress towards that world record. Now, am I saying that the world record, which is 43.03 seconds, set by Wade Van Niekerk all the way back in 2016, am I saying that Noah Lyles is going to be able to break that? I don't know. That's very, very tough. And maybe I'm diving into my opinion a little bit here. I do think that, that record, even though we saw a lot of guys between Quincy Hall, between Matthew Edson Smith, between, all these other guys really approaching it, even Stephen Gardner, Michael Norman, they've, gotten to the 43.4s. 43.03 is very tough. Michael Johnson, right prior to, Wade Van Niekerk in 1999, Johnson ran 43.18 seconds. So we're talking about, 17 years between, Johnson to Wade Van Niekerk. And then prior to Michael Johnson, we're talking about, 11 years? I think Butch Reynolds in 1988 ran 43.29 seconds. So we're not going to, I don't know if we're going to see this like huge progression. We're coming up on, 8 years at this point since Wade Van Niekerk set that world record. I don't know if we'll see that world record go down. We could, someone like Taboho probably could, you know, really take that down if he dedicates some time to it. But Noah Lyles, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say Noah could run sub 44 seconds. Noah could run a 43.7, right? If he really dedicates some time. But I do at least like the comparison to a Tyson Gay who never fully dedicated his, you know, career or even a couple years to the 400, but he did take that time in early in 2010 to dip his toes and say, hey, let me see what I can do in this 400. Let me really go all out, and got to that 44.8. Noah Lyles can do the same. Put him in a race with a Dream Richards. Put him in a race, you know, with a Wade Van Niekerk. Put him in a race with somebody who's really going to be able to pull him to a fast time. Who knows what might be possible. Now, the other thing I did want to know is, notice I didn't really bring up many 400-meter runners, right? I wasn't talking about a Wade Van Niekerk. I wasn't talking about a Quincy Hall or even a Dream Richards to a degree, right? I'm not talking about those 400-meter runners because Noah Lyles isn't coming from that 400-meter side. Even someone like a Michael Johnson, who originally, while he was at Baylor, was a 200-meter runner, dipped and dabbled in the 400, into the 90s is when he really started to run the 400, but he really wasn't a 400-meter runner, but he was like a 2-4 runner as opposed to a 1-2 runner. Noah Lyles is a true 100-200 runner. Check out my man Coach Rob. He did the video on Noah Lyles, really explaining why that 100-meter gold medal shouldn't have been a surprise, because Noah Lyles has really been a 100-meter runner for the most part, just really focused on the 200. But regardless, I think that Noah Lyles isn't out of his realm for saying that he could, you know, start to approach the 400-meter world record. At least the context that he gave, giving his 100% and giving it a couple years of dedicated training in the 400, he can really at least do some damage to potentially get into those, you know, sub 44s, maybe into the 43 mids. That'd probably be my prediction. If Noah Lyles next year started training for the 400, next year, 2026, and then going into 2027, I wouldn't be surprised if he ran, you know, 43.6, 43.5, maybe, right? Who knows? But that's just my opinion. I'm just kind of breaking this down. Again, listen, I know that we love all the talk and the controversy and the sports crossover, but I don't know. I just don't find that interesting, y'all. I thought this 400-meter talk was the most interesting thing to come out of that entire, Nightcap, talk with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco. But let me know what you think. Do you think that, Noah Lyles could approach that world record in the 400 if he really dedicates his time and a couple years to the 400? Or do you think he's completely out of his realm? But do you think he could run sub 44 seconds, right? Or maybe do you think he's probably going to be on par with someone like a Tyson Gay, run 44 high in a one-off race? And just quick note to close things off, right? I don't mean to completely disparage people. I'm not as interested in the whole Tyreek Hill and, all this Anthony Edwards stuff. That's not my pure interest. I'm, of course, more interested in just the track, pure stuff about our sport as opposed to kind of the crossover, but no hate at all on it. Also, I've been kind of low-key. I've been super tired after the Olympic Games. I'm going to be completely honest. So haven't been on Twitter, haven't been on Instagram for the most part, just trying to low-key. I'm of course going to be going to Europe again, gonna check out some of the other Diamond Leagues, gonna be a lot low-key there, but get some interviews and stuff and hopefully some other content there as well. But I do want to say I always appreciate y'all. This has been really great for the past couple weeks where y'all have been really tuning into the videos, y'all have been commenting, engaging, all that stuff. Always appreciate y'all going over to Sidious Mag. I've seen a lot of crossover between my page as well as Sidious Mag, which wasn't always the case in previous videos and previous years. So it's really great that y'all are crossing over and checking out a lot of the content that we got over there. So keep doing it, and again, keep tuning in. Always gonna have some stuff going even when the season's over. Don't worry, we're not going nowhere. Appreciate y'all.